What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Aces Conference, the podcast. I'm your host, Justin, and with me always is my good friend and co-host, Tim. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Justin, how you doing?
Wait, you didn't like that intro?
No, I like that intro. Just our guest was texting and making me crack up. So should we just bring him in? Yeah?
Well, you have to introduce him because I can't pronounce his last name.
All right. Well, look, Matt, a very good friend of mine, friend of the show, whatever bullshit you want to say. I'm just happy Matt would join.
Look, it's Matt from Foundation.
Matt Woestehoff.
Hey, guys.
What's up, Matt?
You guys
For
both
those who are
got
watching
really
this
high
on
pitched.
YouTube, you're going to see us being kooky and weird and me looking off camera because I'm totally unprofessional. So if you are watching this on YouTube, just turn the stream off now and go pick it up on your favorite podcast tool like Apple Music or Apple Podcasts or whatever it is these days. Whatever the cool kids use.
Yeah. All right. This is going nowhere fast. Matt, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
All right. I think we're already a little rummy, but that's what happens when you record on like Friday afternoon.
It's also a holiday, apparently.
It is a holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you
Well,
having
I
a
mean,
Good Friday? I'm Jewish. I don't get it.
Hey,
So we brought Matt on for a reason. You want to talk to Matt about something? Or do we want to tell people about Aces and then say why Matt's on the show?
Why don't we do this? Why don't you tell people about Aces and how May is Aces month and what's going to happen there, and then I can tell you.
You kind of nailed it there.
Yeah.
Aces will be better than this, I promise. Maybe.
Probably not. No, it absolutely will be. There will be a high level of professionalism. Listen, here's the deal. Yesterday we recorded a podcast. At the end of the podcast, we said, first of all, Justin asked me a question and I fell flat on my face. I gave the worst answer ever, and yet we kept recording.
Yep.
And then at the end,
we made all of you listen to it.
And then at the end of the episode, I said, "Hey, we should do this for our next episode." And both topics I thought made sense because on screen we have three different companies who have three different sizes, and it kind of makes a little bit of sense about what we do. And so we might have Matt might bring some better, different insights into it. So first of all, Matt, tell us just a tiny bit for people who've never met you, don't know you. Tell us a little about yourself and Foundation.
For sure. Foundation is a Apple consultant out of Minneapolis. We actually have techs kind of scattered throughout the US. There's about 30 employees in total. We manage around 300-ish clients, around 5,500 locations in North America. So we're probably, quote unquote, one of the bigger ACNs in the community. But we're small at heart for most of what we do. And we are also Apple authorized resellers and service providers. So we can give some sort of perspective on what hypothetical benefits that gives us. However, in reality, it's often case not a benefit per se. So,
a loss leader.
Yeah, in a lot of situations it is, especially with some of our big enterprise clients. Like it's a way to get in the door as an ASP because they don't want to go to a Genius bar, but they've only got 20 Macs out of 20,000 endpoints, and we can just kind of slide in to those conversations and help them out. And we have probably about a dozen clients where that's been kind of the gateway for that. The reseller side of things, it's a nice to have. It's not a need to have, but it does help us be a true one-stop shop for everything. But I will tell you, with some certain supply chain issues over the past couple of months, it's been better not to be a reseller in certain situations, because one of our clients had probably 600 iPads that we've been waiting on for over 8 weeks, and we finally got them. So now we're...
Is that because of rutabaga or because of the boat in the Suez Canal?
It's because of the semiconductor shortage is what everybody's telling us. So it's kind of related to COVID and all of its things, but really it's just a component shortage and it's downstream. And it's just something we deal with and reset expectations and try and make it work.
Do you guys have a storefront, a physical storefront that people?
We don't.
Okay.
We have an office space, obviously, and we have, I guess it's kind of a storefront, but it's not. Our classification with Apple is B2B non-showroom or something along those lines. So it's like appointment only kind of thing. It's actually really, of all the reseller statuses and service provider statuses, it's the best way to do it, in my opinion, just because we don't get walk-ins. Everything is businesses. Most of them are from customers we already have.
And it's people who know what they want most of the time, or at least in the right realm of that, as opposed to someone coming and being like, I need a new Apple Pencil.
Yeah, and we don't get any of that. I mean, most of it is just our clients saying, hey, we've got 3 new people starting. We need 3 new MacBook Pros for them. Send me a quote and let's get it going. So it's a very low friction relationship for that.
You're not required to stock inventory then?
No, we're not required to. We can, but we generically, we have some inventory on hand for the SKUs that we sell a lot of, which is iPads for a particular client. So that we do, but it's not worth the overhead in terms of cost and life cycle management and all that stuff, because it's just easier to do it the other way. And honestly, it's one of the nice things that has happened during the pandemic is everybody just kind of assumes you don't have to show up and buy something in person anymore. It's order it online, order it over the phone, email, whatever. Like that's far more our nature now, which is good.
Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah. I remember talking to some resellers and having them talk about like the inventory that they needed. It's like Apple would make a switch and dictate, suddenly they had to, have all these iPhones in stock or have all these, where it's like headsets or something in stock. And they're like,
we don't have to deal with that, which is kind of nice.
Yeah. Nice. Cool. All right. So moving along, because we're trying to be fast and zippy and everything. So the question that came up the other day was, and actually, talking about Matt's company a bit. So Matt, how do you guys handle when a new employee starts at one of your customers? Do you have a process for it? A typical, like, how's that go?
Yeah, we one of my cohorts also always calls us a boutique IT provider, which is a quaint way to point it out. But every client's a little bit different. For most of them, we get to a point where, and it depends on their size, really. For smaller clients, they don't have a whole lot of turnover. And when they do, like, they know if they're only 5 people and they're hiring a 6th person, they know months in advance or weeks in advance that they're going to do something. So we can kind of be part of that conversation and make that transition a little smoother. For our large enterprise clients, it really depends. We usually have like a spreadsheet or a form or whatever for that client that says, okay, new hire, here's their default username, setup, email config. They need a machine. It has to be these specs. It has this software associated with it. So we kind of have a run book per employee type. And then the customer contact signs off on it and says, yep, go. And if we have a machine in stock or in their swap pool, then we use that. If they need a new one, we get it ordered, bill them for it, all that stuff. So there's a certain level of automation once we get larger with some of them, and we're slowly kind of bringing some of those automated tools down to the onesie twosie clients or the 5 people or 10 people clients. But what we've spent a lot of time is one of our bigger clients our biggest client has a full e-commerce portal where they just log in, buy what they need, we ship it, and away they go. And that works incredibly well. It's super efficient. Like, it kicks off tasks in Autotask, our ticketing system. It creates networks in Meraki. Like, it does all sorts of things in an automated fashion to make our lives easier and make us more efficient. But
wait, I want to backtrack that for a second, real quick. Not to interrupt you, but like, you having that come from so a lot of ACNs that are out there should know what the e-commerce store is, and what I call ACN corporate, the guys at Apple are pushing this because they want people to be able to sell direct from Apple.
It's actually different. Yeah.
This is different than that.
Yeah, this is something that we built. It's home built, that we have a custom storefront that we developed, wrote the code for, and use the APIs to kick off projects to the things that we use. It's not the Apple thing. We have a handful of clients on the Apple version of it, and that works just fine too. But this way, it's one stop, get it done, because there's very few instances where they're buying Apple stuff and not buying something else. They're not buying third-party hardware, third-party software, things like that. So the more we can make it one bundle, away we go.
That concept alone, I love that idea, and I've been promoting this since 2011, which is if you have an idea or there's a tool that you need, like, go build it. There's ways to build this stuff, whether you're, whether you hire a programmer in-house, or you could do some coding, or even if you outsource everything. I mean, like for us, we built Your Computer Inventory because we needed it for our clients, and we built it as a tool. And yes, we sell it and whatever, but like the fact is, it was one of those things. And this is that kind of the same scenario where it may not have been in depth that you needed, hardcore, Laravel programmers who know the latest Python and Ruby and API and all that other stuff, but you needed this tool to make your life a lot easier and to provide a better end product to your client. And I find that a lot of, and I don't mean this offensively, the smaller ACNs, the 1 or 2 person shops, don't invest their time in products like that. Don't invest their energy. And we've talked about working on versus working in. This kind of falls in that. In working on these things to help make their lives easier, right? They everything is, I got to touch every piece and manage it to the ends of the earth, as opposed to trying to build some sort of automation. Pull APIs. I mean, everything has almost everything has an open API now.
Yeah. But hold on, because you gotta back that down a little bit, because first of all, so like Matt's use case here is entirely different. We're talking about, I'm gonna, I don't want to pin a revenue number on this, but I'm gonna bet that the dollar value that this particular store generates is higher than what most ACNs generate.
I'm not saying you can build what Matt built.
Yeah. Well,
but there's a big conversation around that ROI of building a tool versus doing the stuff yourself. I think that's a really good conversation for us.
100%. And ours is very homegrown, like I said, but we also did, we probably spent 50, 60 grand on building it. But to Tim's point, like, it generates us millions of dollars every year, and it's for one particular client. And we had to build it because it ties to Active Directory at this client. So there's a whole bunch of reasons, and it is a unique case, but it did give us kind of a entryway into, okay, well, this is possible. How do we tweak it for everybody else?
Right.
I would say, the hard thing that I have a lot of times is honestly more around things like spending times on the tools rather than spending time helping people. Like, there's a huge disconnect in the community generically where I feel like a lot of times we're constantly saying, hey, what ticketing system do you use? What, remote access do you use? What do you think? All of that stuff. And there's just like, there are more important things to think about. Find something, dig into it, and then away we go.
And use every part of it too. That's the other thing, right? Like, for us, we're Zendesk users, and we're looking at what APIs can we use for Zendesk. And granted, I'm even on scale, Tim, right? Like, we just built because we use Zendesk and we use FreshBooks. We just built an app called FreshBooks Time Tracker that allows us to track time in FreshBooks from Zendesk. The ROI on that is extremely high. The cost to build it was extremely low. You don't have to spend tens of thousands. We spent like 15 or maybe $1,800 on building it. So this way we can this saves the time of calling out how much time is spent on a client or going into FreshBooks and marking in the time. Now you do it right from the ticket number gets logged, all that information gets caught over. So like the ROI on the client side also is a lot higher because now they're seeing these numbers come in and things like that. So yeah, I do agree that I don't think, you guys at Creative Techs are going to build this e-commerce Active Directory Autotask magic wonder portal that Matt and team built. But there's no reason why, if you're doing something repetitive at a particular client, you can't automate that. And whether you build a tool to do that or build a system to build that with, or you just, have webhooks that tie into one another, like people have to invest in that.
Absolutely. And let's be clear too, like you want to let's not worry about automating something that happens 4 times a year. Let's worry about automating something that is happening every day. Right. Like those are kind of the breakdown in the levels. And, like I 100% agree. And, I'm sure, so we've done custom tools and stuff. We do it, we get somebody to pay for it. Right. I mean, and that's essentially what Matt's thing was, right? Like there was the ROI with the one customer to pay for it. And then now we've got this thing built, we have it, we're using it. How do we apply that? Who can we push this down to what other customers? Does that make sense? Absolutely, 100%.
You should charge your clients for every tool. You should be charging your clients for Watchman and your MDM instance and your dark web scanner. We charge clients for your computer inventory. Like if it's client facing, it's somewhere in their bill, and so grows.
There's not a Watchman line item. It's part of my overhead that goes into what the cost is, right?
Yeah, but it also made it determine what you're charging them.
Well, so I kind of agree, but also kind of disagree, because Watchman, we've got, I don't know, 5,000 endpoints in there. It costs us a couple $100 a month, but I don't bill anybody for it. It is a sunk cost for me, but because here's the trick, we're the weird ones and bill everything based on time. The alerts generate billable for me. So it pays for itself, even though it's a small sunk cost. It's not a huge cost by any means. Obviously, it's probably more than, a one-man ACN who only has 40 endpoints. Like we pay more than that, but it's all scale, right? The hard part for me is we can't necessarily wrangle it, because at any point in time, I have 700 alerts in there. And
oh my God, I would not be able to sleep.
No, and it's one of those things where we also are of the opinion where if we say it's monitoring or something like that, then we're beholden to also the expectation that we're monitoring it 24/7. We always say it's nice to have. It helps us do our job, but then we don't have the expectation that if a drive kicks at 7 p.m. on a Friday, that somebody's going to call, reach out and do it. We work 24/7. There's no question about that. But it's a little bit different when we're setting expectations that this is a tool. We choose it to be free so that we can get the billable out of it, and also not have the expectation that we're always sitting there staring at it.
And if I could say one positive thing about Watchman Monitoring is now going to be sponsoring ACES Conference 2021. So thanks to them for joining on board and being one of our awesome sponsors. I had to throw it in there because we were talking about that.
Right on.
I didn't know that. That's great news.
ACES 2021?
Huh? What's that? You want to talk about ACES 2021?
Isn't Matt speaking at ACES 2021?
Matt is speaking at ACES 2021. Look at that. Matt doesn't know. No.
I was trying to make a really nice segue, and now it just came off as if I don't know who's speaking at the conference that I'm putting on.
Yes, Matt is going to be joining us, and he's going to be talking about hiring. Nice. It sounds like Matt's maybe done a little bit of hiring.
Yeah, and that's one way to put it. Pandemic hiring is a weird thing. The market has changed quite a bit in terms of not only what we do as an ACN and what our clients expect from us in terms of being on-site versus being remote and all those things, but the expectations of employees and employers is a little bit different too. Like the whole idea of we outfit everybody with a home office now. Like that's a huge shift for us. Like most of our folks never had displays before because they were always at client sites. So there's some things that are fun to think about and fun to talk about that are actually better for us in the future. And then we can set up the future state of everything. But generically speaking, hiring is incredibly interesting right now. Just one of the things that we struggle about, and hopefully I'll talk about, is just finding a diverse set of candidates too. Like what we just generically as an industry are a whole bunch of middle-aged white dudes. Like it's time to get past that, and I think we're trying hard to figure out how to get more diverse applicants to apply. and give everybody a shot and set it based off of potential versus what they've performed in the past.
Well, going on that, another great segue, because I'm really good at these, is actually thanks to Mike at Origin 84 for setting up the first one, and Rich Ringfield from Envision Design. ACES 2021, we're going to be doing the Women in IT Gender Equality Scholarship again, where 3 applicants will be able to attend ACES conference for free. That is at acesconf.com/ I think it's women-in-IT, but just go to acesconf.com. We'll have a link on the website, or just DM us in Slack.
Yeah.
I'm really good at segues. I'm not great on a segue, but I'm really good at segues.
Do they have Segway Tours in like downtown Minneapolis?
Oh yeah. Not in the winter, because that would be silly, but you know.
I totally thought you were going to be like, do they have Segway Tours in Wayne, New Jersey? And I was going to be like, what?
Yeah, no, nobody goes to Wayne, New Jersey.
Nobody goes to Wayne, New Jersey. It's cool.
Yes,
No.
you explore our historic downtown, and right now avoid our courthouse, but that's a whole other thing.
That's a whole other story. We don't talk about that here at ACES. We only talk about computers and business, and try to stay away from the evils of everything else. Like rutabaga. Well, Matt, thanks so much for being here, man.
Yeah, of course.
See Matt at ACES Conference 2021, Zoom Out, also known as live virtually in your home, happening every Thursday in May from 12 to 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 9 to 11:30 a.m. Pacific. It's going to be 2 speakers and a round table and a microphone. That was a good one, right? Because last time you talked about Ryan Reynolds, which is 2 guys ago. This is a Beastie Boys reference. Whatever, you guys
okay.
talk. Join to acesconf.com to register for tickets. First 100 participants will get our awesome gift box that we talked about on the last episode. Maybe. Depending on when this drops. Yeah, we'll just go with it. Land on another episode. So go back and listen to that one, and then come back and listen to this one, talk about Matt, and learn a little bit about what he's doing at Foundation and what he's going to be talking about at ACES Conference. So again, go to acesconf.com to register, join the Slack, get to meet me, Tim, Matt, and all of the fun folks and all of the family at ACES. Any last words, Matt or Tim?
No, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad everybody's listening, as always.
All right, well, say goodbye, Matt. Say goodbye, Tim.
Goodbye, Matt.
Bye, Tim.